Okay, let's add the little scarf wavy thing that goes on the side. So first let's model the top one. Let's get a plane. Let's reduce its sections to like 5 and 1. And scale it down. And down we go. And let's move it up here. And still too wide. And now let's make it editable. Go into our side view, S key to focus on it. And let's go to our brush tool. Now let's go magnet tool to make it smaller, bigger. Whoops. Maybe brush tool will be better for this. Yep. So it has a different magnet of how the magnet tool is different from the brush tool. So, make it smaller. This one works on both points even if you can't see them, whereas the magnet tool only affects the ones you can see if you're inside them. Okay, that's our first piece of scarf. Let's move it down here. Let's go Shift C, cloth merge, and hold the Alt key when you double click on this, and it will be automatically placed in there. Now, as you see, it's subdivided it, but we don't need that right now. We just want the thickness. There we go. Nice little piece of thick. Now, let's copy this guy over. Let's move these points down here. Should delete these points, move this guy up here, move these up. Okay, so let's move this guy down a bit more. So he's like lying on this one. And maybe, oops, maybe some here a bit. Okay, good, we have scarf piece. Now let's get both of these, control click. Let's rotate this around a bit, move it out here. Move them down so they fit in the right place. Okay, let's get this guy. Let's move these points. If you click on a little blue triangle, or in the old version it's a band here, you restrict the movement. Oops, select both of them. Let's get our other one. Let's move it up a bit. Let's move these guys down. Let's get this thing, move it around a bit here, maybe this one, so it's lying inside the K tool and inside another K knife tool in loop mode, and then let's move this guy here and here. There we go, we have a nice scarf line down. Now if we put this scarf, let's group these together, Alt G, the hypernerves, you see what we get. So we still need a bit of adjustments here. We need to move these points a bit up, maybe these a bit lower, and these a bit higher. Let's increase the subdivisions here. There we go, that looks a bit better. Okay, now we move these down again. So it's lying on the scarf. And here, as you see, it kind of intersects through. So let's go to our model tool, select this, double click on this one, so it selects it under the hypernode. Let's go into point mode, here point mode, and let's get our brush tool. And let's just move these guys up a bit. There we go. Now with these two scarves, once we have them in roughly the right place, maybe go to point mode, like this one. So maybe move this guy, maybe this. irregularity. Same thing with this guy. Let's unselect all the points. Okay, that's pretty good. And now right click and go current state to object and delete. And this one current state to object and delete. And now we should have two of these. And let's just control click them, drag them onto this null, get rid of the null that we don't need. And now what I want to do is here I want to go and add a knife and add a loop cut to just add a bit of thickness. And the same thing on the bottom one, just so it's a bit more solid. There we go. Now let's just drag the material for now onto them. Yep, let's drag them like this. And there we go. We have a nice piece of scout. I'm thinking maybe they're not wide enough. Let's go to the scale tool and let's scale them out a bit. Yeah, that looks better. Okay, sweet. We have scout. Wonderful. Okay, now let's make the little mitts that he has on his hands. Let's make them in a separate file. Let's press Ctrl N. Let's go make a cube, scale it down, push it out. Attributes. Let's increase the subdivisions here. And nope, not that one. Here, I increased them by just put the mouse over and you scroll wheel up and down. It's very convenient. That seems about right. Let's make this thing editable. Let's pull out a thumb. Control click and drag, or press the D key to extrude. Right click, extrude, click and drag empty space. And let's rotate this guy out. Let's move him here. Let's drag it out again. Let's get this point here and use the rectangular selection tool. Once again, you can get it from here, but I just pull it out by using my mouse button 4 or 5, I don't know. One of the ones that's the forward button on your mouse. Like if you have a mouse with side buttons, which make your browser go forward and back, it's just click and drag the forward button and you have a temporary rectangular selection. Very useful. So make sure that in your options for rectangular selection, you have this unticked. So select this thing. Let's move it up a bit forward, move this guy a bit forward, select these, move them a bit forward, let's move these guys a bit out. Okay, seems pretty legit. Now, if we throw it into hypernubs, we get this ugliness here, which I don't like. So we're going to do a bit of retopologizing. We're going to go to the knife tool, we're going to go line, and we're going to click here, and then we're going to get this edge here. I'm going to select this edge. We're going to right click and click bevel. It's down there. And you click and drag. And you see you get this ugly stuff here, but not to worry, we're about to get rid of it. What we do is we're going to go to polygon mode, selection mode. We're going to select all these polygons. And we're going to go use edge. Which is merge all, and we're going to do the same on the other side later. Now we go to points and we delete this point, and oops, okay, let me go back. I messed up something. Okay, let's go back. Let's bevel. Where is this coming from? Ah, okay. Let's clean it up manually. Let's go and just delete all these polygons. We don't need them. So now let's go to our create polygon tool. And let's go click here, 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 and double click here. Whoops. Let's click here, 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 and double click here. Good. Now we go close polygon tool. Oops. Where are we? Yeah, let's close this polygon hole and close this polygon hole. And now select these two triangles and go U, Z, and we'll merge them together. Good. Now we have some nice flow here. As you notice, this is a lot smoother. You don't have that ugliness we had. There's a bit of ugliness here, but we're going to cover that up. You're not going to see that. So let's go to the other side. Let's delete all these polygons. Let's go create polygon. Click, 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 and double click. And click, click, double click, and click, 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 and double click. And click, click, and double click. Oops, no, undo, undo, undo. Let's go to the close polygon tool. That makes less mistakes. There we go. And now we want to go to these two polygons and use edge to merge them together. And there you go. Now we're on both sides. We have if we press the K tool, the knife tool, and we go loop, we have it's a different edge loop, which gives some flow here, which is what we're after. So we have a nice flow going around here. Okay, now let's go UL, select these polygons here, press the D key, and extrude them out. As you'll see, you get these things here, which isn't what we want at all. So we increase this maximum angle over 90. And now, as you can see, we have a nice little kind of midden thing. So then press D again and extrude one more time. And then scale these guys in. Sweet. Okay. So that's pretty solid. Let's make some pole here for, let's select them and press D to extrude inside. And just click and drag an empty space. Good, so now we have something to stick out, the branches into. Now here, there's some things we could do. Let's get this thing and let's get this polygon and push it a bit down, or maybe not. Maybe push it out. It's not really realistic. It just has to look nice. It's a nice little mitt. Maybe move this edge a bit up. The thumb's a bit more inflated and not so flat. And here as well, you probably want to get this edge, shift click on the other edges, and just scale them in a bit. Scale them down. Just give it a nice rounded shape. And also here, I don't really like, I think this should be moved a bit more in. And this one here, this edge there, should also be moved a bit in, I think. Now these seem too far out. Yeah, rotate, select, and move it forward. And select these, and move them, maybe even rotate them. There we go. Yeah, rotation definitely helps. Let's move these guys in. Oops. This one's so. There we go. We have a nice little mitt. As you can see, there's a bit of problem here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go UL into our polygon mode. Select this, press UI, UI. Actually, no, let's unselect that. And undo. And now let's just move these top polygons over. Undo, press UF to fill selection, and holding a shift key, add this to the selection. And now go back to the move tool and just shift it over like this. Much better. We have a mitt. Yay, let's call it a mitt. Mitt. Actually, let's call this a mitt. And drag it out. And let's press model tool, Control C. Let's go into our snowman. Let's go Control V. And let's rotate it around. Holding a shift key to snap it to 90. Holding a shift key to snap it to 90. And then the move tool over here. And let's scale them down a bit. This seems like a good size for it. Let's make a nice little simple blue material. Oops, luminance. blue, darken it a bit, and let's stick it on to the mid. Make it a bit darker, more saturated. Awesome. Okay, now let's make the stick that holds the mid. So, cylinder. Let's go to our side view. By the way, I switch by middle clicking. You middle click and you have 4 views, you middle click and you have this one again. So, rotate this guy, scale him down, pull him out. It's close enough for now. Maybe make it more narrow since it is a branch. Okay. Here in our attributes, turn off the caps. You don't need them. Yes. Make sure, by the way, when I make a new cylinder, my rotation segment is set to 12. Yours, by default, is set to 36. If you want to change it to 12, you go 12, and you go set as default, because the default cylinder is too subdivided. I don't use that in modeling. So yeah, don't forget to change yours to 12, and press the C button on the cylinder to make it editable. Now let's get our points here. Let's move them up closer to the edge of the circle. Let's scale them up, because branches generally scale up. Let's go to our knife tool, make sure it's in loop mode. Let's add a cut here, select these points, move tool. Let's move them a bit. Let's select some points here, move this branch as well. Now let's add another cut here. Let's go to polygon mode, selection tool, select these points here, press the I key, scale them in, press the D key, extrude them out. Actually no, let's control click and drag them out. Oops. Let's move tool, control click and drag them out. Let's scale it in a bit. D key once more to extrude them. And now if we throw it into a hypernubs, we get this little elbow kind of thing, which looks like a broken branch. You know, if you want, you can add another knife tool, knife cut here, and then go to edge mode and select these edges here. Shift click, oops, shift click to select these edges, and then control click to unselect these edges. Control and drag. So, and then scale tool and scale them out to make it a bit more circular. And maybe also you want to get these points, oops, select these points here, shift click these points here, shift click these points here, and shift click these points here, and then scale them like so to make a nice round edge. Maybe same thing here you could do. You could select this edge and move them out, and then select these two edges and move them out. Oops. Oops. Selection tool, control click, drag these out, and there we have a nice little elbow. Oops. S key to come, H key to frame all. Okay, good. Now let's pull this guy out. Let's delete this thing. This is going to be our branch. Let's make a new material. Control click, drag, double click, brown, dark brown, branch. Okay, we have our branch and our hand. What we do is we select both, press Alt G, and then we control click and drag to copy it. Let's call this arm 1 and call this arm 2. Now to flip it horizontally, let's first change the axis here. Let's move the axis of this guy. Axis tool, move tool, bring it here. Turn off the axis tool. Now what we do here is we go to scale. You can't see it, but you select scale, and then you select any one and you press -1. And see, we have a flipped version now. So we can now move this arm here, and we have the other arm. And if you want, you can get this branch. You can go to point mode, and you can select these points, and you can move them a bit closer so the branch looks different. So it's not the same as the other branch. And there you have it. Let's move them down a bit. We have our hands. Yay! Don't forget to save regularly in case your computer crashes. Okay, let's do some final adjustments before we get into the lighting and stuff. Firstly, let's just tweak these little, this hand color. Let's make it a bit more light, maybe. There, much better. And same thing for the material. This one, don't really like it. Push it out a bit. Grand. Okay. Now, a good idea now to go through and rename all your stuff in case you don't have it. Ball. Pull things out of the hypernubs that you don't need because you want one hypernub at the end. You don't want all these hypernubs. So scarf top. We lost the material on that one. Nope, wrong material. There you go. So this is top scarf. This is bottom scarf. This is scarf. Scarf. Where's our other little pits? This is the outer pit, so scarf bottom. I don't know. Let's call it scarf lap bottom. Stick it in here and call this scarf lap top. Just call it T. Maybe call this B, just so they're not so long. Okay. Model tool. Buttons. Let's just group them all into one. Then we have one material applied it, and we can call this buttons. And this is the head, and this is nothing now, and this is our arm 1, this is our arm 2. Just fold them up, head, button, scarf, random effector for the mouth, so rand mouth, mouth clone, and mouth spline. Let's get all these together and go mouth. Actually, wait, no, undo this. What we want to do is we want to get a spline. Where's the spline? Where's the spline? Check the axis is correct. Wait, no, let's change to model tool. The axis centered. The cloner, let's put it under the spline and press tilde X, which is Shift C, reset PSR, that command. Then move it out. Then get this round mouth, put it into, again, spline, tilde X, so that it's all together. So now when we group all these guys together, the axis will be where the mouth is, not some random place. And let's call this mouth. This will be useful in animation, when grouping stuff. Just try to keep your axis close to the object you're actually working with. So caret nose, I1, no, let's call this I2. I always label things, basically everything is, when I look directly at a character, everything on the left is 1, everything on the right is 2. So this is arm 1, mid 1, arm 2, mid 2, I1 here, I2 here, so on and so forth. Okay. So we've got everything named. We're going to save. Now I want to adjust this head. This head has been always bugging me. I don't really make heads often, but I realized what was missing. What was missing is that right now it's kind of just tubing here. It just kind of curves into it. What we want is we want like the shape of the hat, the head, and then we want this thing to come out and kind of flop over. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our hat mesh. We're going to get this edge loop here. Shift double click this edge loop here, edge loop here, edge loop here. And we're going to control click and drag and deselect these. Oops, and that one, shift it. And now we're going to move them here and we're going to rotate them like so. Like this. And we're even going to get these two. And we're going to move them up there as well. And now what happens if you throw this hat into a hypernode? And let's make our hat material, turn on the color, turn off the luminance for a second. As you can see now, it looks like it's actually flopping off. We want to move it even further in. So let's get this one, deselect these, and let's move them further in. Q, by the way, enables and disables the generator above your mesh. So let's double click this, control click and drag so we deselect the top ones, and then let's move it. Actually, let's deselect these as well. Let's move these inside. Okay, I see the problem. The problem is, let's go Q, this edge there. That edge needs to be moved down. And with this edge, no wait, let's undo that. We have two edges. Let's first move this edge and the other edge. Okay, double click to get all the edges, and then control click and drag unselect it, unselect this, and unselect this, and then let's move it across. There we go. And now in here we need to select this edge, and this edge, and let's move them down. Move them up here actually. Select this edge and this edge. Let's move these guys up here as well, so we have some more regular distribution. Select these two and move these out here a bit. Let's also rotate them out. Maybe move them in a bit. Let's select this point and this point, and move it. There you go. Sound hypernode. There, that looks much better. That's what I had to control from. Flop over. Okay, good. So, whoa. Let's go to our pet point mode. Let's get our brush tool out and let's make it bigger. Let's deselect all the points and let's drag this out. It's much better. Ah, great. I'm much happier with this hat. Okay. Obviously, you can go and tweak it as much as you want. You can look at photo references. Get it just the way you want. Okay, so let's start getting these materials. Okay, let's handle the scarf first. For the scarf, I want a striped material. So let's get our little. Let's turn on color, turn off luminance. Let's go gradient. Click on this thing and click this little arrow here and expand it and change this to linear. No, not linear, sorry. None. No interpolation. So now we just have black and white. And we can change this to, for example, orange or yellow, orangish, and saturation, and maybe some reddish color. Good for now. And as you can see, it's applied, but there's only two stripes. So what we're going to do is we're going to find where our model tool is, find our scarf, top scarf, there it is. We're going to double click on this, and again, in the attributes menu here, and we're going to change this to cylindrical. Because wait, if we leave it as UV mapping, you see there's a problem. It's orange here, but it has patterns on the top edges, and if you smooth it, let's just throw it in a hypernode for a second, you'll see that it doesn't really, it has like, it tiles wrong. So what we want to do is we want to change this to cylindrical. Now as you see, we have yellow section, we have orange section, and no problems. But we still only have orange and yellow. So what we do is we increase the tiles, U. And we have scarf material. And for this bottom scarf, we just control click and drag this on top. And we have the same thing. And if you want, you can go to textures here. And if you're an R14, enable the axis. And then if other ones, you just go texture mode, and you can now rotate it to offset them or line them up, depending on what you want. And there you have it. You have a nice little scarf. Also, a good idea is to right-click and go Cinema 4D tags, stick texture. Because now when you go to point mode and you use your brush tool, the texture will move with your scarf. If you have no tag and you move it, you can see the texture will stay in place. So there's a little tip that will be useful for work. Obviously, it's also a good idea if you apply the texture first and then you deform it, then your lines will deform with it. But for the point of this tutorial, this is more than sufficient. So stick texture, and if you want, you can do like a bit of shifting just so the lines aren't too regular. Just clean up the scarf shape to better match what you want. There you have it. And same thing for the bottom scarf. You know, add a stick texture to it, so body stick texture. And again, you can move it, the texture will move with it. Once again, get rid of the hypernubs. This was just temporary. We'll have a full-on hypernub on the whole object in the end. Now, these objects, same deal. Let's apply this to this one first. Currently it's UV mapping. You can increase the tiles, and hey, look, in this case it seems to work. So just keep it as that. You can increase UV mapping works, so it's you can offset as well, so you can. There you go. And we have our stripes. So I think these stripes are too small, so let's make them a bit bigger. There we go. And apply it to the bottom one. Just control click and drag the material. Let's delete these brown ones, we don't need them anymore. And there we have it. We have our scarf textured. We seem to have made our carrot. Oh yeah, because we have the same material. So let's double click, make a new material, make it orange, more orange, and apply it to the carrot. It's also a good idea to call these materials so you don't get confused. For example, carrot, scarf, cat, and so on. Sometimes use the same material for lots of things, sometimes use one material for only one object, myths. So, that's a scarf. Let's keep going.